Hello, grade 10 students. I hope that you're doing good. So in this video, I will be solving document B, page 82, about some experiments the psychologist Francois Magendie did to see how the nervous system functions. So the nervous system is the system that collects the information from the outside and also within the body, analyzes them, and responds in the right way. Let's start. Please get your copybooks, get your pencil cases, and let's start. As you studied in the previous lesson, spinal cord is connected with different organs by two roots, dorsal root and ventral root. Francois wanted to reveal the direction of nerve messages along each root. Okay? If the direction is moving toward the peripheral, we say that this is a centrifugal direction. If the message is moving toward the center, so we say that it is a centripetal direction. Depending on the direction of the nervous message, we can conclude the nature of each root, whether it is sensory or motor, if it holds a sensory or motor function. For the above reasons, Francois Magendie conducted the following 5 experiments. First, pose the main problem. What was Magendie's question? What is he trying to see? He's trying to see the direction of the nerve messages. So he can identify which one of the roots is the motor root and which one is the nervous root, or which one is the dorsal and which one is the ventral. So the question that posed the problem is, what is the direction of the nervous messages, or followed by the nervous message along each of the roots of the spinal cord? So along the spinal cord roots. Where did I find the answer? Right here. So he wanted to reveal what is the direction of the nerve messages along the roots of the spinal cord. How can this help the psychologist? What's the objective of Magendie? When he finds the direction of the nerve messages, he can conclude the nature of each root. So the objective by the end of the experiment is to identify the nature of each of the roots. So to identify the nature of each of the roots. Let's start with experiment 1. Look at experiment 1. This is the spinal cord. The excitation of the ventral root causes or leads, what's the effect of this? Contraction of the muscle connected to this root. But the sectioning of the ventral root, cutting of the ventral root, okay? And then the excitation of it causes a paralysis, causes a total loss of normal movement of the muscle. Specify the role of the ventral root. Specify, yani we start with the answer and then we justify. And the best way to justify is to analyze the experiment. As you can see, when the ventral root is working normally, the muscle contracts. When it is sectioned or cut, the muscle does not work. So the job of this root, of the ventral root, is to control the muscle, too simply. So how do we justify? First of all, we have to put the answer, which is, this is part C of document B. The ventral root plays a role in controlling the muscle connected to it. Since, how do we justify? by analyzing. So since the excitation of the ventral root leads to the contraction of the muscle connected to this root, while the sectioning of the root leads to paralysis or paralysis. Okay, so when it was functioning normally, the muscle contracts. After cutting it, the muscle does not contract. This indicates, or this shows that the ventral root has a role in controlling the muscle. Okay, specify, يعني أنا I start by just by giving the answer, I indicate the answer and then I justify. This is experiment 1. Let's move now to experiment 2. In experiment 2, the excitation of the dorsal root, okay, lets us feel pain. So the effect was feeling the pain. Why? If we section the dorsal root, if we cut it, we lose sensation. Deduce the role of the dorsal root. What is the role of the dorsal root? Deduce يعني reach a conclusion. يعني give me the answer by the end, but after justifying in a logic way. The best way to justify is to analyze. So we will follow the same way. We will say, first of all, what is the role of the dorsal root? إذا أنا when it is normal, it helps me feel. When it is cut, I don't feel. يعني this dorsal root has a sensational role, or it carries the sensory messages. صح? How do we justify? We can analyze. The excitation of the dorsal root leads to pain feeling, while the sectioning of the dorsal root leads to a total loss of sensation. We deduce that, or I deduce that the dorsal root plays a role or plays a sensational role. You can also say that it carries the sensory messages. This is experiment 2. So experiment 1 شفنا إنه ventral root plays a role in controlling the muscles, بس dorsal root عنده sensational role. هلا experiment 3 we sectioned ventral root يلي هو it was controlling the muscle. Okay, if the excitation of the central end, if we excite it from here, no reaction, the muscle does not contract. Okay, and حتى the message does not go this way. Okay, but when we excite this side, the message or the muscle contracts. يعني نحن if we excite this part of the cut ventral root, nothing happens. The message does not move like this and then back to the connected muscle. لا. But when we excite this part of the nerve, the muscle contracts. This shows another message cannot move from this side. It only moves in this direction. Okay, interpret the experiment. Let me first start with the analyze part since it is easy. So what are we going to say? إنه exciting the central end of the section ventral rule leads to no reaction while exciting the peripheral end of the ventral root leads to the contraction of the concerned or the connected muscle. طب this is the analyze part. This indicates what? What does this indicate? نحن we changed شو variable factor هو the place of the excitation مرة بالcentral مرة بالperipheral. طيب how do we link this variable to the result? الريزلت هو إنه no reaction على الcentral بس في reaction على الperipheral. This indicates that the nervous message moves toward the center يعني does it move هيك toward the center ولا away from the center? It's away from the center from P toward the muscle, right? In a يعني centrifugal direction. This indicates that the nervous message propagates or moves in a centrifugal direction along the ventral root. What do we mean by centrifugal? Centrifugal يعني toward the peripheral يعني من point P toward the muscle. Where did I get this information from? From the given text فوق قالنا centripetal يعني toward the center but centrifugal toward the peripheral. Okay? Conclude concerning the function of this root. يعني هيدا الروت شو؟ What is its function? Is it nervous ولا motor? It is a motor function أكيد لأنه it is leading, taking the messages to the peripheral and it is connected to the muscles. It controls the muscles. Right? This is a conclusion. So we will write, we conclude that the ventral root has a motor function. Okay? So نحن من experiment 1 شفنا إنه الموتور root controls muscles. ventral root no sorry experiment 1 ventral root هو controls the muscles. وشفنا كمان بالاكسبيرمنت 2 انه dorsal root عنده sensational role. وبالاكسبيرمنت 3 شفنا انه المسج move بالventral root in a centrifugal direction هو عنده motor function. هلا experiment 4. So Francois Magendie did 5 different experiments. Let's see experiments 4 and 5. بexperiment 4 exciting, so it's مثل experiment 3 بس with the dorsal root. So this is section, the dorsal root is sectioned. عندي C حد الcenter و P حد peripheral. When you excite the central end, pain feeling. When we excite the peripheral end, no feeling. Show that dorsal root has a sensory function. How do we reach such conclusion? Let's see. Or how do we deduce that? How do we show? What is the best way to justify this? Is by analyzing. So حنقول له إنه نحن when we excited the central end هون عملنا لها exciting we feel the pain. يعني المسج went this way. بس احنا when we excited it from here ما راحت هيك. Okay? And it cannot move this way since it is sectioned. فأكيد الدورسال root عنده sensory function. Exciting the central end of the sectioned dorsal root leads to pain feeling, while exciting the peripheral end of this root leads to no reaction. Therefore, the dorsal root has a sensory function. فصار عندي أنا الموتور روت هي الفنترال روت هي موتور فانكشن والدورسال روت هي sensory function. Sensory function. In experiment 5, we sectioned the spinal root هون من أساسها مش ال roots of the spinal nerve لا هون هيدا ال spinal root نحنا we sectioned it we cut it we lost sensation وكمان we lost movement we lost control over our muscles يعني خسرنا ال sensation وكمان لا المسلز deduce the function of the spinal cord. طيب sensation هي مفروض sensory function, paralysis هي motor function. يعني ال spinal root احنا if we cut it we lose both لأنه the job of the spinal root is mixed, right? Deduce يعني we analyze. So we're going to say sectioning the spinal cord or the spinal root leads to a total loss of sensations and also to paralysis. We deduce لأنه هذا سؤال deduce that the spinal root has a mixed function. شو يعني mixed function؟ يعني motor and sensory functions لأنه we lost both نحن sensation وكمان movement. In part I, taking into consideration all the significances revealed by the results of experiments 3 و 4. 3 نحن لما قلنا انه الفنترال روت عنده motor function والاكسبيرمنت 4 قلنا انه الدورسال روت عنده sensory function. Conclude concerning an important property of the nervous message. هون بال ventral root centrifugal direction motor function والdorsal root sensory function. طيب نحن the message in this root cannot move in an opposite way طريق وحدة from here centripetal to the center while هون centrifugal من هون to the outside and they cannot change direction. So what is an important property that can be revealed? This is a conclusion. إنه the nervous message moves in one direction. It is unidirectional. So we conclude that the nervous message is unidirectional يعني it propagates, you can say it propagates propagates in one direction. So again, the nervous message moves in one direction. Okay? The direction of this message هي centrifugal بالventral centripetal بالdorsal. This is all for now. Thank you for watching.